Boston, Massachusetts. Always special to be in Beantown, and especially at this glorious venue as the Rockies will play a two-game set with the Red Sox. Both teams flying high offensively. And, of course, the Rockies do have some history with Boston. Last year in 2016, and, of course, the 2007 World Series. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're along, as always, with my partner, Jeff Houston. I'm Drew Goodman. It's fun. You got to play here. I think every player you ask, what's the #1 park in baseball? Maybe not once the game starts because there's some nooks and crannies, but just being here is special to a player.
The history of the game. There's a lot of history here in Boston, and it's really cool when you walk into that locker room for the first time or walk down the steps, you walk out, you see the Green Monster. Everybody gets excited about it. Whether it's your first time or your 20th time you come here, you still enjoy Boston and all it has to offer.
And great fan base, obviously, here in Boston as well. This is an interesting matchup this time because the Rockies and Red Sox in the month of May have been pounding the baseball. Both teams got off to slow starts this year, but in the month of May, the Rockies have scored more than any team per game at 8.2, which is ridiculous, and gaudy numbers offensively as well for the Red Sox.
Well, and you look at both of these offenses, this is kind of what you expected. So what they did in March and April, you're just shaking your head saying, wow, where did this come from? I think for the Red Sox, it might have been a little bit of a World Series hangover after winning all those games and winning another championship. But I think for the Rockies, too, they finally found their edge, where they needed to go. And, of course, the guy that leads that is the all-star third baseman, MVP candidate, Nolan Arenado. With Nolan leading the charge, I think it makes everybody else relax just a little bit more. Here in the month of May, 452, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, multi-hits in 7 out of his last 10 ball games. So now he's up to 10 home runs on the season, 33 RBIs. So Nolan being Nolan is what we come to expect, and he's helped lead this charge.
And on the other side, there are big names everywhere. Mookie Betts is the reigning American League MVP. He's not a big guy, but he impacts the game like Nolan on both sides of the baseball.
175 pounds for Mookie Betts, and he can flat out do it all. He won a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, you name it. Last year, MVP. Think back to 2016, he finished second in the MVP voting that year, so it was only a matter of time before Mookie did his thing. What you have tonight, though, is you have 2 dynamic players leading their club behind some good pitching tonight, too.
Yep, 2 left-handers, Chris Sale and the birthday boy, Kyle Freeland, will go at one another today. You think of Fenway, you think of history, not just baseball history. It's steamed in American history as well. Since we're on the subject of baseball history, that will be our underlying theme throughout the evening. Enjoy, everybody.
Back in Boston, getting set for the first of 2 between the Rockies and the Red Sox. And of course, we found our way to a bar, but not just any bar. We're at Cheers, where everybody knows your name. You're Spilly, right?
No, Mark, I'm not.
Oh, sad. This is Corey Sullivan, Ryan Spielberg's Jenny Kavnar back with you. And when you think of Cheers, you think of Sam Malone, right? He played for the Red Sox, opened the bar.
Great relief pitcher.
You think about history of baseball. There's no doubt about it. The Red Sox, one of the most historical teams. And you think about Ted Williams, one of the greatest hitters in the game. One of 2 players in the history to win a Triple Crown twice in his career. The other, Roger Scoresby of the Cardinals. Now, 344 lifetime hitter. Are you 2 drooling over your beer here? That is a pretty darn good hitter.
344 is pretty special, but when you think back, you think to 1941, right? You think of the 406 batting average. He's the last guy to do it. Going into the last week of the season, he was hitting 405. He had 6 games left, 3 in Washington, 3 in Philadelphia. He goes to Washington, he goes 2 for 10. Then on the first game in Philadelphia, he goes 1 for 4. And now all of a sudden he's down to 399. And guess what? He's got a doubleheader on the last day of the season. He goes out and goes 6 for 8. That's a cute little day. Ends up hitting 406. By the way, do you know what his on-base percentage was that year?
500?
553.
Oh my gosh.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
What is this,
I got
by
this
the way?
cute little ball that's autographed. This is for my dad. He was 7 years old when he got all these autographs.
That's amazing.
We got Carl Yastrzemski, you got Ted Williams right there,
Wow.
Vic Wirtz, Bob Feller.
Here, let me hold that for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Don't drop it.
Pocketing that.
Well, and I got Ted Williams' book, and we talk about hitting all the time. This is the greatest book on hitting ever written, and it's fitting. Back in 1960 when he wrote it, he ended his career with a home run in his final at bat. kind of wish he would have tipped his cap to the fans, but that's all right. The Splendid Splinter was one of the greatest of all time, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Oh, and let's also not forget the fact that he missed 3 seasons of playing baseball because he served our country in World War II. That's just scratching the surface of baseball history. It's going to be our conversation all night long. You can join in. Don't forget to hashtag Toyota Talk on Twitter. Send us your thoughts, your photos, and your favorite memories when it comes to baseball history. For us at Cheers, we're signing off.
Cheers.
Cheers to baseball in Boston. We have the Rockies and the Red Sox coming up on AT&T Sportsnet.
Baseball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Groove Toyota, one of your hometown Toyota stores, and by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Last year, Mookie Betts, the American League MVP. Before him, it was 2008. His teammate Dustin Pedroia, MVP. Both little guys who play with a lot of heart and a lot of talent. Fenway Park tonight playing its 8,282nd game. That's all. Temperature, well, the Patriots might as well take the field. 44 degrees. And we haven't seen above 45, I don't think, in the 48 hours since we arrived in Boston. Charlie Blackmon, he is always ready to go. What a homestand he had. 394, 5 home runs in 8 ball games, including 2 on Sunday, as the Rockies won 10-7 over San Diego. Trevor will bat second. Nolan's red hot. He's batting .319 in May. He's leading all of baseball at .452. Mark Reynolds owns a dozen home runs in this facility. Raimel Tapia has been cooking. Ian Desmond has always swung it well at Fenway. David Dahl, Chris Iannetta, and Pat Valaika back in the big leagues. Pat was up earlier this year, and the Rockies made a move earlier this afternoon. Garrett Hampson was sent to Albuquerque. Valaika up and in the lineup. And they're going to face one of the game's premier left-handers in Chris Sale, and it's already been a story of 2 seasons for Chris Sale. First 4 ball games, everybody in Boston saying, what's the matter? Last 4, he looks a lot like Chris Sale.
Yeah, first 4, 8.50 ERA, batting average against .311. Last 4, a 173 and a 165 batting average against for Chris Sale. So don't be deceived by some of those numbers, and he's coming off a remarkable start in his last outing against Baltimore, where he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning, struck out 14 batters, and did not issue a walk in those 8 innings.
Well, they were worried about velocity early. That was down. We talked to Alex Cora for a while this afternoon, and he said more than anything, it was fastball location. And you know what? When it comes to pitching, isn't it always?
Right?
And I mean that. I mean, I don't care if they throw 98 or 88. If you have fastball location, you're typically going to be successful, and that was off a little bit. He misses on the first fastball. Here's the 1-0 to Charlie. And that skips the outside corner, and it's 1-1. Dan Bellino is in charge of balls and strikes tonight. Sean Barber is at first. The crew chief, Larry Vanover, he's at second. At third base, David Rackley.
Well, and what makes Sale so difficult sometimes, too, is the way he really crossfires. He starts off on the third base side of the rubber, but ends up where he steps about 6 inches across his body. So those are the tough pitches right there to the lefty and Charlie that it's hard to see. It's hard to pick up the baseball. On the Subaru Supermo, you're expecting the ball to be out and away from you, and it runs back underneath your hands.
Well, he's in that slider count, 2-2, and he got a fastball, strike 3. He surprised Charlie, and that is strikeout number 1 for Chris Sale. Let's take a look at the Red Sox defensively. They started slowly on defense. J.D. Martinez, for just the 9th time this year, is not the DH. He's in right field. For just the 7th time, Mookie Betts is not in right field. He's in center field. Jackie Bradley Jr. normally patrols center field, but against the Rockies left-hander Freeland, it is Betts in center, who's an outstanding defender. J.D. Martinez in right. Most of their errors have come at third base. Rafael Devers has 9 errors already at third as Trevor takes ball 1.
9 out of the 26 errors that Boston has. Right now they're sitting 10th in the American League, 20th in baseball with a .982 fielding percentage. And that's the slider. And he really drops down on the velocity from an average of 92 miles an hour, 93 sometimes, to 78 or 79 on the slider.
And that's in there for a strike. Trevor has played here before. He has 8 at-bats in this ballpark back in 2016. Just one hit. That one hit was a 2-run homer.
Got away with one there at the Subaru strike zone. Caught the upper portion of it, called the ball.
And that just a little bit up also. So it's 3-2. Everybody's got the mock turtles on tonight.
Yeah, it's
not just for good luck. Yeah. It's for good old-fashioned warmth. 3-2 on Trev. And he swings and misses. He got a slider, 3-2. Now, the Rockies have never seen Chris Sale. The Orioles get to see him all the time. And this is a young Orioles team, and they went down 14 times.
That is the 4th time in Chris Sale's career where he's had 14 or more strikeouts without issuing a walk. That's 4th most in the history of the game. I mean, Randy Johnson did it 8 times, Roger Clemens did it 7 times, and Pedro Martinez did it 5 times.
That's inside, on the inside corner, I should say, for a strike. Oh, 1 to Nolan. Nolan a home run on the last homestand. He's got 10 home runs overall. 8 have come out on the road. 2-1. And 18 of his 33 ribbies away from home. Well, maybe not a huge surprise, because overall the Rockies at this juncture have been a better road team than home team. They're 10-10 out on the road. At home, they're 9-11.
That's something that'll turn around. Last year at this time, they were about the same mark at home. And then we know where they ended up at the end of the year, 13 games above 500 at home.
Yeah, we got to pay attention here. Where, you know, we've done games here many times in the past, and at Fenway, the booths literally are overhanging above the plate. So that foul ball came up here not only close, but quickly.
And I do want to point out, too, that we're the only broadcast team that has the window open. Everybody else has it closed. See? We're prepared. Let's go. This is baseball. Let's play it.
That's right. And Chris Sale with a dynamic start. He strikes out the Rockies in order. Kyle Freeland to the Fenway mound when we come back. First inning, and the birthday boy, 26-year-old Kyle Freeland, is on the mound, making his first start ever, not only at Fenway Park, but against the Red Sox. And it's been a rough go early this season, though if you look inside the numbers suggest there's a turnaround coming. First of all, for 2 reasons. 1, the numbers, and 2, we know what kind of talent Kyle possesses.
His whip is lower than his career whip is this year, just by a tenth of a run, but his batting average is lower, too, against than it has been for his career.
You know, fewer hits than innings pitched this year. The walks have been up a little bit as Andrew Benintendi steps in, and he takes strike 1 on the outside corner.
I thought Kyle made some strides in his last start. He gave up 3 earned runs, but I thought his tempo, the way he was able to command, was better.
Ball and a strike on Benintendi, who has become one of the better leadoff hitters in the American League. A couple home runs in his last 4 ball games. Outside 2-1. A lot of rain, not only the last couple of days. Rockies were going to take early BP today. That got wiped out. But in the month of April, they set a record for most rainy days. 2-2. It rained something like 21 days out of 30 in the month of April.
Just that wet, damp, cold New England air,
Yeah,
too.
it just goes right through you. 2-2 on Benintendi, and that is fouled off. The slider. It's amazing when a team gets off to a slow start, a team that dominated all of baseball last year. The panic buttons were pushed everywhere.
Especially
in New England.
here.
Yeah. They were 6-13. Woo, Strike three on the corner. Good start for Kyle Freeland as he strikes out Benintendi. That'll bring up Mookie Betts. Betts is one of those guys that started slowly. As you glance at the Southwest batting order for Alex Cora, JD Martinez, the Rockies do know him. He's hitting .313. Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Michael Chavis, who's a rookie, has really made an impression. Steve Pearce, Eduardo Nunez DHing, and Sandy Leon is behind the plate. There's strike one on Mookie Betts. You know, advantage to the pitcher, both of these guys, initially, because other than Martinez and Eduardo Nunez, Boston's never seen Kyle, and the Rockies pretty much have very little to draw upon with Chris Sale in their history.
And I think too, with the guys and where they're at, and Sale has more experience obviously than Kyle, but you know, it's one thing if they're rookies going out here at Fenway Park for Kyle. I know it's his first start here, but I still think he has enough major league experience that's not going to overcome him. Not going to rattle him.
No. Oh, listen, we've learned a lot about him these first few years. He lives for these moments. He thrives under pressure.
It is a special feeling, though. I'm not going to lie to you. When you walk out onto this ballpark and in Wrigley Field for the first time, you do take it all in.
It's different. Here's the 1-2, and that is strike three, looking again. So Benintendi goes down looking. Mookie Betts is excused. 2 gone.
I think both guys were looking for the slider. They were expecting the slider, and they got the fastball, straight four-seamer on the Subaru Supermo.
Same thing happened to Charlie Blackmon. He had a probably looking slider and got the heater from Chris Sale. So 2 gone in Martinez. Now Martinez does have some experience against Freeland. 3 at-bats, 2 hits.
Well, that goes back to that 2017 season when JD was with Arizona.
He mashed for Arizona. He came here as a free agent, and he's continued to mash. That looked like it was at the top of the zone, but it hasn't been called both ways, at least early in the game, by Dan Bellino. (2-0).
JD Martinez is just one of those guys that just got so much better once he was let go by Houston.
Yeah, in Houston, it just never really happened for him. And he goes to Detroit, and even after establishing himself in Detroit, he just keeps getting better and better. 2-0 pitch, and that is pulled foul. Look, 251, not much for 3 years in Houston. Detroit, 300, that'll work. Arizona, better. Now Boston, he's already hit 50 home runs in a Red Sox uniform.
That's hard to believe. When I saw that, I shook my head for a moment. Not that he doesn't have that, but he hasn't been here very long.
No, he's going to get called up to the next league soon. This is a base hit through the left side. So a 2-out knock for the Red Sox, and that'll bring up their shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, as we take a look at the Rockies defensively. Tapia, Dahl, and Blackmon in the outfield. There's Pat Valaika. He's at second base again. called back to the big leagues today, and Garrett Hampson will get an opportunity to play every day down in Albuquerque. .262, 7 home runs so far for Bogaerts. I think he gets overshadowed sometimes by the Betts and the Martinezes of the world, and even before the Dustin Pedroias. Xander Bogaerts last year in that World Championship season for Boston, 288, 23 homers, 103 driven in.
Yeah, but he's, as you said, Drew, like the third or fourth choice when you're talking about the Red Sox.
Yep.
Because you had Mookie Betts, who took a lot of the thunder away. But you ask any GM, scout, they just rave about Xander.
He is a native of Aruba. I've been to Aruba. That's pretty impressive that he got on that small island, that he got to the big leagues. Kyle's been pounding the zone. He's ahead 0-2. 2 outs. Martinez conservative lead naturally at first. It's interesting. Kyle's gotten ahead working arm side. And so many right-handed hitters are wary of Freeland coming in because he does the vast majority of the time.
Yeah, they're worried about the cutter or the slider on his glove side.
See where they go here. Yeah, they're going in. And that was actually out over the plate, but it was down a little bit of sink. No harm done on that foul ball. I think the more he does that, Huey, where guys, right-handed hitters, have to look away a little bit more, and then you come in, it will make that pitch more effective naturally.
The surprise attack to the right-hander. You get him leaning out over the plate, then you saw him off. Those are the broken bat jam shots that you get as a pitcher. So far, everything down and away on the Subaru strike zone.
Boston has won 5 straight, 11 out of 13 during this 13-game run. They've outscored the opposition, listen to this, 100-37. Woo. So they're not only hitting it, they're playing good defense, they're obviously pitching. And now it rides full on Bogaerts. Mark Reynolds alerting Kyle Freeland. He's going to play behind J.D. Martinez. There's a good view of it. Winter weather mid-May here in New England. Just missed. So he lost him after being ahead 0-2. That'll bring up the leading hitter in the American League, Rafael Devers.
For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch, and treat yourself, Kyle, to a nice birthday present. Since you're turning 26 today, he's looking for his first win since April 18th against Philadelphia. As we said earlier, got a no decision in his last start against San Francisco, but get the W tonight. And then treat yourself afterwards to a nice meal.
There you go.
Some clam chowder.
Tie on Devers. He's hitting .279 against lefties, .358 against righties. Left on left, .279, not shabby. 2 on and 2 outs. Here's some highlights, especially of late. He's 11 for his last 19 at the plate.
That's 16 multi-hit games for Devers. 336 batting averages, first in the American League, fifth in all of baseball. And I just remember when he kind of came on the scene a few years ago when he took Aroldis Chapman deep on a 104-mile-an-hour fastball, left on left. That's when he announced his presence.
Good swing there, but it goes to a 1-2 count in favor of Kyle Freeland, who has been ahead of all 4 hitters. There's the top 5 in the American League. Michael Brantley in a new club, with a new club. And our old friend, our old buddy DJ LeMahieu. I think he's been the Yankees MVP the first 7 weeks. With all the injuries they've had. Here's the 1-2. Devers, for me, has got a little Juan Soto in him. He has a great feel for the strike zone. He's pretty short to the baseball. He has a very good idea of what he's doing for a really young hitter. He's just 22. He won't be 23 until the end of October. Native of the Dominican Republic.
Some guys are just blessed with that talent. He's one of them.
Line drive at Mark Reynolds. He gloves it, and that's all for Boston. 2 strikeouts and then a hit and a walk. We'll go to the second. No score at Fenway. Park as we go to the top of the second inning. The Rockies will have Mark Reynolds, Raimel Tapia, and Ian Desmond. Well, we're celebrating history here on this Tuesday in Boston. And in 1869, the Cincinnati Reds became the first professional baseball team. The National League 7 years later was founded. In 1901, the Western League renamed itself the American League. And in 03, it was the Boston Pilgrims and the Pittsburgh Pirates in the first ever
the Pilgrims
World Series. Well, the Pilgrims, I think it was the next year, 1904, is when Boston became the Red Sox. Now, there was another team in town. They were the Red Stockings, and their owner felt like they always wore those red stockings, that when players got spiked, the red dye could leak into the wound, and that would not be good. So we can't call ourselves the Red Stockings anymore because we're not going to wear red stockings. And across town, the Pilgrims said, we like Red Sox. We're going to become the Red Sox. It stuck, and there you go. And I'm not making that up. And, of course, the Red Stockings became the Boston Braves. Oh-2 on Reynolds.
And now you know the rest of the story.
We're going to be saying that quite a bit tonight. It didn't seem to affect Curt Schilling in the World Series.
I think he would have liked it better if it would have shown more blood.
Yeah. And that is 4 straight strikeouts to begin for the Rockies against Chris Sale. That'll bring up Raimel Tapia. His first look at Fenway came when he emerged from the dugout a couple hours ago for batting practice. Fans, when the Rockies score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. Raimel Tapia had quite a homestand, hit .409. And the blows he's throwing out there are major blows.
But the
doubles,
runs,
triples, homers,
opposite field, doesn't matter.
He uses the entire ballpark.
And he's worked his way into being a start against a Chris Sale type.
He has, and think about this, not dropped down with the DH where he's 7th or 8th in the lineup.
No.
He's batting in the 5-hole tonight, separating Reynolds and Desmond. And that catches a good portion of the plate, 1 and 2. Chris Sale's a Long, tall guy, 6'6".
30 years of age now.
Last year, his whip was 086. And another strikeout. This reminds me of what German Marquez was doing last year in a ball game.
Yeah, 5 strikeouts, and they've come on 3 different pitches. This one's on a fastball on the Subaru Supermo, second time tonight. He also got Charlie with a fastball. 2 strikeouts on sliders and 1 to Nolan on a changeup.
Told you earlier, Ian Desmond's had a lot of success against the Red Sox. How about a .412 average against Boston? Couple home runs, 12 driven in those 12 games. Yeah, he's out front.
This could be one of those low-scoring affairs, a 2-1 to 1-0, and somebody jumps one and hits a homer, or the scores a wacky type of way.
Well, you know, it's early, and there's a feeling out process for the Rockies against the great left-hander Sale, having never seen him for the most part. Okay. Got to figure the same for the Red Sox against Kyle Freeland.
And that's why I was saying this could be one of those 2-1, 1-0s.
Listen, it's a great night to pitch, not so much to hit, with the temperature in the low 40s. Two and two on Desmond.
And you might be asking, well, why doesn't Chris Sale wear sleeves then? Well, some pitchers just don't like that on their arm, no matter how cold it is.
My guess is, we didn't look at it, my guess is he's putting a jacket on when he gets inside the dugout. But there are a number of guys out there who feel exactly that way. They don't want anything restricting their arm.
They don't like it. They don't like it more on their elbow than anything else.
Pretty sure like Chad Bettis is one. He likes wearing the sleeveless jerseys. Strike 3. Well, Chris Sale has struck out all 6 Rockies so far. As we were walking to the park today. 1920, rule changes about how the ball was treated brought about the live ball era. Did one Babe Ruth take advantage right away? His 54 home runs out-homered every other team in Major League Baseball. That first pitch is, excuse me, in the American League. That first pitch is inside to Michael Chavez out of the state of Georgia, like so many other terrific players. What an impact this kid has had playing for Dustin Pedroia. And that ball is swatted to left a long way, and it is a fair ball. Third base umpire.
Wait a second.
David Rackley indicated fair. I don't think Chavis thought it was fair. Buddy Black's already 10 yards out onto the field. He just got off the phone with Brian Jones.
I mean, from our angle, now we're not right on the line, but our angle looked like it was 10 or 15 feet foul. You got a belt high fastball in the Subaru Supermo. I mean, that's foul.
At what point? At what point was
I
that
have
fair?
no idea.
So they'll take a look at it in New York, and if they're seeing what we're seeing, this play under review brought to you by Dish. And that camera shot, just so you know, is right on the line. It's not offline, which then would, you know, influence what you're seeing. It was right on the line. That ball was crushed, but it looked to be foul. Oh my goodness, they're saying home run? What are we looking at?
I have no idea. be his 7th home run and 20th RBI of the season. I have no idea.
So Kyle Freeland, and that has been an issue for Kyle. Last year he gave up 17 home runs. That's the 10th home run he's given up already. Now Steve Pearce, the World Series MVP, takes inside.
Yeah, last year he allowed just less than a home run per 9 innings pitched. This year it's just shy of 2. 1.8.
Ball and a strike on Pearce. That was a long, long home run, which is not a surprise. You know, Boston with J.D. Martinez, with all the sluggers they have. The 4 longest home runs hit this year by a Red Sox have come off the bat of Chavis.
He was just called up, made his major league debut April 20th.
And they're saying that one went 451. So I think he owns all 5 now of the longest home runs this year for Boston. His debut, as you said, he leads the Red Sox with 20 RBIs, and his debut was just 3 weeks ago.
I'm still a little perplexed by that.
It looked foul. It looked unquestionably foul. We had one at home last week.
Nolan's
would have been his second of the game that looked unquestionably fair. That's a strikeout.
Now you think they are saying it hooked around the... that angle, it looked foul. Now they called it a home run on the field, so maybe they didn't have enough. I don't know. Just looking at that one, it certainly seemed foul.
Eduardo Nunez. He's faced Kyle 4 times without any success, 0 for 4. Down the line, past diving Nolan Arenado. Tapia trying to hold him to a single. Could not. A 1-out double for Nunez. You got to play hockey goalie if you're a left fielder or a right fielder when it goes right down the line.
And he ripped this one by Nolan, and the line is so close to the wall down the third base line that sometimes it'll come off there and you're able to hold the guy to a single. But for left fielder Ramil Tapia, he went over and made sure that ball didn't get by him, because then it'll start rattling around down in that corner. Pretty close at second base for Nunez to slide in head first, just to beat the tag.
Catcher Sandy Leon steps up.
Go back to Tapia. With this wall, there's only about 3 feet from the time you get to the line and that wall. So you've got to make a judgment call on where do I go? How do I stop when I go out there?
You were a shortstop primarily in the big leagues, and this has to be the most unique place to play shortstop.
No doubt about it.
A lot of responsibilities, right?
Well, and even on that play, we saw Trevor start to run out there, because if it hooks just the right way, past third base, you can see that little sign, yellow sign there. Sometimes the ball will kick off that and come back to you. Another time, you might have to go play it off the wall, the green monster.
We've seen that many times, where it'll ricochet off the top of the wall past the left fielder, and the shortstop going out will be the first guy into the baseball.
Well, and it's just 310 down the line, so you'll get some fly balls that would be out other places. It'll go off the green monster down the right field line, 302. You got the Pesky pole over there. Johnny Pesky hooked one around there. It's kind of infamous for the Red Sox and their history.
2-2 on Leon. We always talk about the height of the green monster. It's 37 feet. Most baseball fans know that. What is not talked about much is the length of it. It's 231 feet from the left field foul pole to almost dead center field. Goes out to 379 feet, and they have to have a yellow line out there so you know if it goes to the right of the yellow line, it's a home run. This to center field. David Dahl will make the catch. And that'll bring up Benintendi.
Well, they didn't paint that wall green until the 1940s. I believe it was 47 when they painted it. So to the right of that yellow line, that's a homer. I've only seen a few guys take it out to that portion.
We were discussing this earlier. The wall in center field, you know, is in the neighborhood of, I'm guessing 18 feet high, 15, 18, 19 feet high, somewhere in there. And it goes all the way out to 420 feet. Now, watching a guy like Big Papi go into the seats there, my goodness.
Yeah, 420 out there reminds me a little bit of the 420 in Old Tiger Stadium was that way. Just went out to Death Valley.
Oh, and 1 on Benintendi. Struck out looking his first time. And hits that latent foul out of play. Home run by Chavis. Nunez a 1-out double. He's at second base. Swung on and missed. So Kyle Freeland limits the damage. As we go to the third, the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead.
Oldest ballpark in the major leagues, built in 1912, and in 2012, on the 100th anniversary, it became a part of the National Register of Historic Places.
It's pretty cool. This is the original 1912 brick, and I think about the immediate feel of nostalgia. Rushes over you when you get to Fenway Park. Our guide yesterday talked about how he remembered the first game he ever came to, where he sat and watching Ted Williams run out to right field.
Yeah, pretty special to be here. Drew, Huey?
Thank you, guys. They've been playing baseball here for 108 years now. David Dahl against Chris Sale. Rocky just trying to get one in play right now. Sale has struck out the first 6. The major league record is 8, shared by German Marquez. That was last year. The American League record is 7. David with a couple of good takes. It's 2-0.
Just 34 pitches, 2 for Sale. 20 of them for strikes.
2-1. Well, last year, Blake Snell, who won the American League Cy Young Award, on June 3rd struck out the first 7 hitters in a game, which tied the American League record, and this will be a ground ball to second. So Sale strikes out the first 6, and then Dahl grounds out to Chavis. Tonight, make a date with Millions. The Mega Millions jackpot is at $316 million. Get your tickets right now. Well, kid from New England steps up, Chris Iannetta, Grew up down the road in Providence. In fact, got to go home and see his girls yesterday and today.
Yeah, he went home after we landed on, is that Sunday night, I guess it is. Sorry, I was trying to remember when we flew out here.
It's been a whirlwind.
Uh-huh.
First time Chris played here, he was playing in the Cape. And Major League Scouting Bureau had a workout for top prospects, of which naturally he was one of them. And he said it was the coolest feeling in the world to swing the bat here.
Well, especially for somebody who grew up out here.
Yeah. Actually, let me amend that story for a moment after this pitch. 1-2.
Woo!
2. Oh, called strike 3.
Oh, snuck it into the bottom of the Subaru strike zone, just barely. And it was kind of a delayed call, too, from Dan Bellino. As he called it, he didn't point at Chris like it was on the check swing. It was just a called strike.
So Pat Valleca steps up. Actually, Chris told me when he was in the Cape, they had 2 different venues set up, and he said his venue was Lowell, Massachusetts, so he didn't get to play at Fenway then. He did have a workout at Yankee Stadium. I was confusing the stories, and he hit a ball over the center field fence at Yankee Stadium, and he said that was the coolest feeling in the world. Yeah. Well, Pat Valleca back in the big leagues, and Pat earned his way back. He went down, played 17 games for Albuquerque, hit 8 home runs.
Yeah, 16 RBIs, 333 batting average.
I don't know how many Chris Sales were down at the PCL.
No, because then they get called up if they're Chris Sale down in AAA.
Rockies trying to increase their production with their second baseman. Right now, their on-base percentage and slugging percentage last in baseball. And that
well, but again, Drew, it hasn't been called up at the top of the Subaru strike zone.
Both ways. (3-2) on Valleca. No, foul ball.
Stop your cheering, fans. It's foul ball.
Well, you can't be any more dominant than Chris Sale was the first time through the lineup. He strikes out 8 out of 9.
Down 1-0 Fenway Park. We're taking over MLB history, and we're going to go to the 30s. And this will be all of the firsts in Major League Baseball. This was the year we had in 1933, the first All-Star game was played. 1935, first night game was played. That was in Cincinnati. 1936, the first Hall of Fame class was elected. That was first baseball game that was ever televised. Pretty cool stuff went on in the 30s, obviously, Drew and Huey. And I know, Drew, you were there for the first Hall of Fame class, right?
I wasn't there for that, but I was there for the first night game, Corey. We talked about that earlier. I missed the Hall of Fame class, but I was at the night game in Cincinnati. It was chilly that night, too, as I recall.
Is it chilly down there tonight, Corey?
Yeah, it's a little bit chilly. It's okay, though.
Can you feel your lips, or are you like all
my lips
right
are
now?
a little rough. My toes are real cold.
I hear you. Get warm. Mookie Betts at the plate. 1-1 count, and that's at the bottom of the zone. 1-2 on last year's MVP. How about this for Betts? He's the first player in Major League history, 4 years in a row, 20-plus bags, 40-plus doubles. Got a career .303 average.
As I mentioned, in 2016, he finished second.
In the MVP.
Yeah, in the MVP vote.
2017, he was 6th, and then, of course, last year he won it. Guy in Anaheim's kind of had his arms around that trophy for a while.
Yeah, if he doesn't win it, he finishes in the top 3 for sure.
Yeah. And Betts bounces this one foul. Well, last year, not only the MVP, but he won a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, and yeah, the most important thing of all, he's got himself a ring. 4 World Championships for the Red Sox in the last 15 years. The previous 100 years, they won 4. And it all began with that comeback in the 04 ALCS against the New York Yankees, where it looked like they were done. They were down 3-0. It's a great comeback in Game 4 here. Strike 3. So Betts for the second time is dismissed on a called 3rd strike.
And both times it's been 91-mile-an-hour fastballs from Kyle. And if we were to overlay the 2 strike zones, I think it'd be in the same spot each time too. He thought it was going to be in, and he let it go by.
JD Martinez, a sharp ground ball for a base hit through the left side.
That's 5 strikeouts now for Kyle.
On the outside corner, a little bit off, 1-0.
JD Martinez is the only player in the major leagues the last 2 seasons did 300 plus, 40 plus home runs, and 100 plus RBIs.
He mashes. And that ball's crushed to left center field, and it's going up and over the wall. 8th home run for Martinez, 2 solo home runs, and the Red Sox have a 2-0 lead.
It's the 11th home run Kyle's given up on the year, and that cut back over the middle portion of the plate. JD wasn't quite sure because he's running pretty hard out of the box. And then that goes up into the 3rd row. It's the 4th row, if you want to call it that, in the Green Monster.
He hit 2 home runs on Sunday.
And he now has 4 home runs in the last 6 games.
His first 5 home runs this year came out on the road.
I think I just saw him. He thought that pitch was a changeup.
One strike on Xander Bogaerts. Both Freeland and Sale a year ago finished 4th in their respective leagues in the Cy Young.
We saw Blake Snell earlier this year down in Tampa. You could tell.
You understood.
You
understand
knew
why he won a Cy Young. Yeah. DeGrom's throwing the ball well. Aaron Nola struggled this year. Kluber struggled a little bit this year.
He just got hurt too.
Yeah.
But for Sale, he's finished in the top 5 of the Cy Young voting each of the last 6 years. That's consistency.
That is consistency. Two and 2 on Bogaerts, who walked his first time up. And that's inside. 3 and 2. Red Sox, with the 2 home runs tonight, now have hit 2 or more in 6 consecutive games. They have 26 home runs in their last 12 plus games. Nolan throws out Bogaerts, 2 outs, and that'll bring up Devers. Devers with 2 on, line to Mark Reynolds to end the first inning. Rockies don't completely shift because Trevor Story's maybe a step and a half on the left side. This is toward the monster and deep and gone. Wow. Just over the top of the green monster, and it is 3-0. Third home run for Devers. They say solo home runs don't beat you, but if you give up enough of them, you're in trouble.
Kyle, 2 starts ago, gave up 3 home runs to Arizona. This was a slider, looked like just from the spin of it, the Devers.
Up in the zone.
Yeah, and those are the ones that, especially left-hander, a lot of times you're thinking, I'll just pepper that wall out there in left field.
And I'll tell you what, if it lands, doesn't matter, woulda, coulda, shoulda. If it lands 2 feet lower, it's probably a long single.
Well, because Tapia had already stopped and was waiting for the rebound.
Chavis, his first time, hit what we thought was a foul ball. He went 451 feet. It was ruled on the field a fair ball. They went to New York, and they confirmed it in New York. This is 7th home run since coming up on April the 20th. 12 home runs now allowed by Kyle against 17 a year ago. The 12 home runs is the most allowed in the National League.
59 as a club for Colorado. That's 3rd most in the National League.
Swung on and missed, so Freeland with his 6th strikeout. 2 home runs in the inning. Martinez and Devers, 3-0 Boston.
One of the most iconic of Fenway Park. And we are inside the Monster, which you don't often get to see. Jenny Kavner with Corey Sullivan. We went on a tour of Fenway yesterday and learned some fun facts. So, Corey, take it away.
37 feet, 2 inches tall. Wasn't originally painted. They didn't paint it till 1947. Gene Yockey came up with the color. They call it Fenway Green. The Yockey family were the original owners. They put their initials in Morse code on the out-of-town scoreboard. Pretty cool.
I think that's all the facts you need to know. Drew, Huey?
These guys are quick studies.
Yeah. That is a rite of passage as a player when you come here and you put your name inside the Green Monster.
Charlie takes a strike. He was caught looking at a fastball his first time up. 8 strikeouts for Chris Sale, not allowing a base runner the first time through. And Charlie's behind 0-2. Lefties have not hit a home run off of Chris Sale in almost 2 full years.
Well, you're hoping the second time through the lineup that you have had a better look at Chris Sale. Because the first time through, nothing happened, but on the season 2, it's just a 141 batting average against. Second time through, it's 371. So that's where you're hoping. Here in this top of the 4th inning, comes to fruition.
Well, you know this much. You can't be worse than the first time through, right?
That is true. That is true.
0-2 on Charlie. Got a 10-game hitting streak going on the heels of an 11-game hitting streak, so he's hit 21 out of 22. Rockies 9-10 all time in the regular season against Boston, 4-7 at Fenway. Of course, they went 0-2 here in the World Series. Back in 07.
Well, They also came here during the regular season in 07, took 2 of 3.
And almost swept that series. Lost a 1-run game. That is to third.
It's time now for the Coors Light refreshing finish, and go back to 2016. And it was pretty fun that day because Trevor and I had the opportunity to go inside the Green Monster. First time for him. He signs it, I sign it, but then he got the upper hand because he went deep in that game. I just got to call the game and talk about that home run. And we were reminiscing about it today down in the dugout. And boy, did a smile break out on his face. His mom and dad are in attendance tonight. They weren't here in 2016, and I asked him today, because I ran into him at the hotel lobby, and I said, were you here in 2016? He said, no, and I don't know why we didn't come. So we had to come this time.
Have to. One strike on Story. And 2 strikes. I mean, you talk about pounding the strike zone. That is what Sale has done. His last 4 starts, he has thrown 70+ strikes in all 4 of those games. That is figuring a guy's hanging around for about 100 pitches. That's a huge percentage of strikes. And they have to be high-quality strikes.
That's
if
right,
you're in the zone, it's center cut. You ain't going to be around for 100 pitches.
No.
He's already tonight induced 11 swings and misses and 10 foul balls.
I think all the early worries about how hard or lack thereof that Chris Sale was throwing, I think those have been answered. Because I've seen some 94s to 96s a lot tonight.
You know, everybody seemed to be concerned the first 4 games, and the velocity truly was down. I watched one of his early games. I mean, there were 89s and 90s in there. I mean, it seemed to be legitimate, but Sale wasn't overly concerned. And that is a called strike 3. That's 9 strikeouts of the first 11 he has faced.
But that's the first one that has been called at the top of the Subaru strike zone. Remember, we were talking about it earlier that he's not calling that one both ways, and now this is the first time that he has.
Yeah, that was mask high, which, unless you're talking about a Stanton or a Judge, is not generally called a strike. So 2 outs, and Nolan struck out swinging at a slider is up there. Nolan at Fenway, 21 at bats, 5 hits, looking for his first career home run. He told me before the ball game that this is the coolest place that he has had the pleasure of playing at.
The first time I came here, first time I went to Old Tiger Stadium and Old Yankee Stadium. Those are 3 pretty cool places.
Yep. This is popped up foul ground. Devers waiting, and the Rockies without a base runner through 4 innings against Chris Sale. Well, baseball history, we move to the 40s, and of course the 40s and forevermore dominated by baseball finally breaking the color barrier with Jackie Robinson in 47. He made an immediate impact in that he was the Rookie of the Year, 49 MVP, and the Dodgers in his decade with him had great success. Steve Pearce, 7, 8, 9, and a good slider underneath the hands. It's 0-1. Pearce struck out swinging his first time. Off to a very modest start, hitting 117. But he'll always have in his career the memories of games 4 and 5 against the Dodgers last year in the World Series. He mashed 3 home runs in those 2 games. This is how dominant the Red Sox were a year ago. Not only was their 108 wins, the best in baseball. In the long storied history of the Red Sox, that was the high water mark. And then they lost a game in the division series, a game in the ALCS, and the only game the Dodgers won in the World Series, it took them 18 innings.
And so they won a total of 119 games.
And lost only 57.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
For their rookie manager, Alex Cora. Now he's a seasoned vet. One-two on Pierce, on the ground to third.
Tricky hop.
Yeah, tricky for most. Ooh, Mark Reynolds leaning, and that ball sailed past him, and that'll be an error on Nolan. Just his second of the year.
Tricky hop, and then it hits the lip and then just stays down, but yeah, the throw just sailed on. Watch how he drops his elbow and throws more sidearm than over the top. That'll cause the ball to run, and Mark's trying to stay on the bag the whole time. And I think he realized that by the time it was going to go off the end of his glove, he could have come off the bag and made a swipe tag.
Eduardo Nunez at the plate. Now, this has been as bad a start as the Rockies could have imagined. 3 solo home runs for the Red Sox. The Rockies have barely put the ball in play against Sale, and now Nolan makes an error. The good news is it's just the 4th inning. One out, and that'll bring up Sandy Leon.
MLB Ballpark app will complete your next visit to Coors Field. You can buy and manage game tickets, redeem special check-in offers, access exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today.
Leon hit a fly ball to Dahl in center field. And that'll be Mark Reynolds' ball, 2 outs. Top of the order, and Andrew Benintendi, 2 strikeouts so far against Kyle Freeland. Righties came in hitting just .213 against Kyle, though they've hit 9 home runs against him. Lefties, .353.
Last year, lefties hit a mere .185 off of Kyle.
He went around 0-1. And we've talked a lot about the Rockies at home not pitching well. Their ERA, especially their starters' ERA, has been unsightly at home. Out on the road, the Rockies have pitched very well coming into tonight's ball game. Their road ERA at .362, 3rd best in the National League. And get this, the opposition on the road has hit .224 against Colorado, which is not only the best in the National League, 3rd best in baseball. Swung on and missed. Benintendi not having any fun against Freeland. Rockies down 3-0 as we head to the 5th. On AT&T Sportsnet is by Subaru. Love it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By CU Denver, we are CU in the City. Learn more at cuinthecity.org. And by UC Health, live extraordinary. Bundled up at Fenway, the Rockies trailing 3-0 on a frigid mid-May night. Rockies trying to get the bats going against Chris Sale. You know who made their debut at Fenway Park back in 1981?
Buddy.
One Harry Black. That's right. Buddy Black made his debut here, and he said it was awesome. Obviously, he was nervous as heck making his debut anywhere, but especially at Fenway. And he told a story about when he faced Yaz for the first time in that series. He was coming out of the bullpen then. And he said on a 3-2 pitch, he said, I threw one right down the middle to the Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski, and I turned away, figuring, the ball's going to get thrown around the infield. Next thing I know is Yaz is walking down to first base.
And believe me, folks, that happened with rookie, whether it was a pitcher or a hitter, and a veteran.
This ball's well hit to right, and this is over the head and bounced over the fence for a ground rule double, and the Rockies have their first base runner and obviously their first hit. An opposite field double for Reynolds.
Well, it helps too that J.D. Martinez is out in right field and not Mookie Betts, who's the primary right fielder. Beat just a little bit on the Subaru Supermo, but Mark stays with that. And J.D. reaches out, kind of took a straight route over to the baseball instead of getting behind it, and then it bounds into the stands.
So now Raimel Tapia is hitting .357 against lefties. But his buddy, tells such a great story. He said, man, it was right down the middle.
But that's what I'm saying.
But
that used to happen all the time.
He goes, I'm a rookie, and that guy's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I don't think you would get that as much in today's game, the way their umpires are judged on their strike zones. They keep throwing that hip side slider to Raimel.
Part of the zone, 1-1. There's the breakdown for Tapia. He's opening up eyes of all the opponents that have seen him of late. And this ball is lined to left, and it's tracked down out there by Benintendi.
That might be the best swing the Rockies have taken tonight.
Certainly the last two, the opposite field double for Reynolds and that line out. One out, and that'll bring up Desmond. Desi had one career at bat against Sale before this evening, 0 for 1. .395 career average at Fenway, including a home run and 10 driven in. And that's into the seats foul. Rockies got to cash in that leadoff double. Get something going in this game, down 3-0. That's a strike. Well, there's some ties between Buddy and guys on Alex Cora's staff, namely his bench coach, Ron Renicky. They were together with the Angels.
That was part of that big coaching tree for Mike Scioscia.
Yeah.
The rest of the crew, Joe Madden in Anaheim.
And now they're 2 outs. That is the 10th strikeout for Chris Sale, and we're in the 5th inning.
That's his 35th strikeout in the last 18 2/3 innings for Sale.
He went from great concern in Boston to putting up some of the most dominant numbers we've seen in a while. Chris Sale, all time, is ahead of Randy Johnson, Max Scherzer, the great Pedro Martinez, Kershaw. It's his 68th game now where he struck out 10 or more. First guy to get it in play against him was David Dahl, who's up right now leading off the 3rd. He struck out the first 6 tonight. Reynolds a leadoff double. Now they're 2 outs. He's still standing with a leadoff second. On the inside corner, 0-2.
And then he drops it to the bottom of the Subaru strike zone. It's almost unfair to the hitter.
He's thrown 74 pitches, 49 have been strikes. It seems like he's thrown 74 pitches and 73 of them have been strikes. Hey, real quick, so I mentioned that Sale has now struck out 10 or more 68 times in his career. The all-time record, he's 12th on that strikeout list, doing it double-digit punch-outs. Your buddy, Nolan Ryan, you venture a guess?
No, I can't.
He's number one.
Yeah, I couldn't.
215.
Oh, mercy.
215 times he struck out 10 or more.
I didn't want to embarrass him and say something a little over 100 because
Hey,
I thought that was going to be a lot.
get on a plane and give you a bow tie.
Yes, he would. Just like he did Robin Ventura.
That's right. One and two on David. Well, the Rockies got their first hit. Could not advance Mark Reynolds. 11 strikeouts in 5 innings. 3 solo home runs, 3-0. Chavis had the first, and J.D. Martinez and Rafael Devers in the third. We continue looking at the history of baseball tonight. From 1921 to 1956, the Yankees played either the Giants or the Dodgers in the World Series 13 times. And of course, in '58, New York became a one-team town. First pitch swinging from Mookie Betts. He struck out his first couple of times. Now he has a fly ball to Blackman. I'll bring up J.D. Martinez, a single and a home run. And since then, there's been only one Subway Series, and that was in 2000, the Yankees and Mets. And as a lifelong Mets fan, I was thoroughly disappointed in the outcome of the 2000 Subway Series.
You've been disappointed a lot being a Mets fan growing up.
You know what this year is, though?
What's that?
The 50th anniversary.
Oh, the Miracle.
Of the Miracle Mets. Miracle in Flushing. Art Shamsky, who's a member of that team, has written a book that I'm interested in reading on that team that both I followed and Doug followed. I followed a little more closely than Doug, being that I was a little older than Doug. Doug's giving me this perplexed look. Well, I followed it. Dude, you were in Pampers, man. I was all of 6. You were much older, Huey.
You're still rooting hard.
That was Huey's rookie year in the Midwest League.
Got me.
Ball and a strike on Martinez.
I was a Cubs fan at that age. So, yeah, I was disappointed.
And Martinez hits this ball to Charlie in right center. He makes the catch. And they're 2 outs.
Fans, Sunday, May 26th is Military Appreciation Day at Coors Field. The first 10,000 fans through the gates will receive a Military Appreciation picnic mat, courtesy of KOA and the Colorado Beef Council.
Xander Bogaerts. That's in there. Freeland looking for his first 1-2-3 inning.
Might have been his first curveball. Just looking at the velocity on that last pitch.
How about Bogarts? This year was his 6th straight opening day as the Red Sox shortstop, and he's just 26.
A few the young players that are established already. This pitch from Kyle kept it right down at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone, right at the knees.
Two on Bogarts. 3-2. Well, you have to give them a lot of credit. I mean, not only for the success, but how they've gone about it. They have built within. Not exclusively. Nobody does it exclusively, but these stars came up through their system. Ball 4. Second time Bogarts has walked.
And the #1 prospect in the Boston Red Sox system is Bobby Dahlbeck.
Bobby Dahlbeck, who, if that name rings familiar to Colorado fans, Colorado baseball fans, it should. He's at a Legend High School in the University of Arizona, and he has been on a holy tear. He has big time pop. He's the #1 prospect, as Huey said. The #2 prospect is the guy who's on deck, Michael Chavis. Chavis has had a huge impact already.
I remember when Bobby was coming out of not only Legend, but the U of A. He was also a pitcher, too, so they weren't quite sure what they were going to do, what direction. But I think he made the wise choice because he decided, I want to be a position player.
He's got 7 home runs in Double-A. Devers, who hit an opposite field home run, is behind 2 strikes. Here's the 0-2. Chris Iannetta wanted that one. It was off the plate. Kyle wanted it.
It was right where Chris had set up. This is where he wanted the pitch. Takes the glove back ever so slightly on the Subaru Supermo. Kyle's walking off, but that was, as you can see clearly, probably about a ball and a half off the Subaru strike zone.
Pitch number 87. And Charlie's going to tie a major league record. 3 putouts in an inning. Bogarts left aboard. We go to the 6th. Rockies. Time for our connection of the game. On this date, remember this, 1967, Mickey Mantle becomes the first switch hitter to eclipse the 500 homer mark, and then 19 years later, Reggie Jackson hits number 537 off of Roger Clemens to pass Mickey Mantle. Of course, Mantle finished with 536 home runs in his Hall of Fame career. We're at Fenway Park on a frigid mid-May night, but at least it's dry. Last couple of days, it's been raining pretty steadily here in Boston. Chris Iannetta will lead it off. The Rockies have 1 hit. Mark Reynolds will lead off double in the 5th. And Tapia lined out. Then Desmond struck out. Dahl struck out. Iannetta struck out looking his first time. Sale has struck out 11 in 5 innings. somehow, some way, Huey, you'd like to, short of, putting up all of a sudden out of nowhere, putting up a crooked number the way Sale has been so dominant, at least, get a couple base runners, work counts, and get that pitch count, which is in the low 80s right now.
Try to
get it close to 100 and get him the heck out of here, right?
Exactly. The way he's been pitching, but he's a guy that's used to going over 100 pitches, 108 in his last start, 111 is his season high.
The guy at the plate will make you work. He always has. Chris has worked the count full. This is going to sound crazy, but you're going to agree with me, I bet, partner. That pass right there was one of the better swings. Everything was on time that we've seen against Sale. We're talking about an innocuous foul ball that went backwards.
Yeah,
but that's how dominant Sale's been.
Exactly. The only one I think that would be Tapia's line drive to left field. But, I mean, we're here in the 6th inning talking about a couple swings.
Talking about foul balls, and that's the strikeout. Another caught looking. This reminds me right now of when Randy Johnson in his prime would roll into town, or the Rockies would face him somewhere, and you just had no chance. That's what it feels like watching this.
Well, and you're waiting for that slider to show up, and that was a changeup.
Throws a changeup only about a 1/6 of the time. Pat Valaika again up, replacing Garrett Hampson on the 25-man roster. He takes strike one. He's throwing everything exactly where he wants it. Look at that. You talk about hitting the target. Sandy Leon, maybe he's the
good luck charm.
The magic for Sale, because the first 4 he was working with Christian Vasquez. This is not Vasquez, and Sale didn't pitch well. But the last 4 plus this one, that's strike 3. He has an ERA coming in at 2.62 with Leon, and he now, you see it? He has 53 strikeouts and 4 walks in his last 4.5 ball games throwing to Sandy Leon.
Yeah, the first 4, Vasquez, he had a 6.75 ERA with him, just 16 strikeouts and 22 innings pitched, and a lot of walks.
Blackman a strikeout and a ground ball to third. 13 strikeouts.
I do think some of it partially is just coincidence that he just started pitching better.
Sure.
Too. So it wasn't all on Vasquez.
I'm sure afterward, when he talks to reporters, he's going to say, talking about Leon, it's the easiest night of catching I've ever had. I set up my target after putting down a sign, and the ball showed up wherever I put my glove. Now the crowd's really involved. 2 strikes. And that's strike 3. They're not picking it up, and he is mowing people down. This is as dominant a performance as I can recall since Kershaw threw a no-hitter against the Rockies a few years ago. We go. That's Jerry Koosman. That's a fly ball to Cleon Jones. End of World Series in 5 games. The Mets take out the Orioles, the Miracle Mets, first expansion team to win a World Series. That's when baseball expanded from 16 to 24 teams in the 60s. Red Sox had a great year in 67. Michael Chavis, a home run and a strikeout. 3-0 Boston. Kyle's given up 5 hits, but 3 unfortunately have been hit over the monster. J.D. Martinez to left center, Chavis right down the line, and it was an umpire crew chief review. It was not, Buddy came out, but it was a crew chief review, and they upheld it in New York. And then Devers, an opposite field home run over the monster. David Dahl cruises in. He puts that one away. It's time for our fun facts, brought to you by the Lodge Casino, your first choice for fun. And Fenway Park opened in 1912. Not only is it the oldest ballpark, but in terms of acreage, it's the smallest ballpark in all of baseball. The Green Monster original construction was not painted green. Jeff mentioned that until 1947. And right down the line and right the pesky pole. I'll tell you what, Mark Reynolds flirted with hitting one out in that direction earlier in the game. Well, if you're an NBA fan, a Zion Williamson fan, my guess is he's headed to New Orleans. They won the lottery.
Okay. Yep, that's where he's going then. He's a consensus #1 prospect.
Yep. Steve Pearce reached on an error by Nolan on a throwing error. Just the second error for Nolan this year. Good off-speed pitch. 0-2.
Just a ninth start of the season for Pearce at first this year.
His heroics in the World Series earned him another year with Boston. And good for him. You know, he's played for every team in the American League East.
I remember him mostly with Baltimore. There are the numbers too to back that up. The O's were rained out today in New York.
This ball's pretty well hit the center field. Dahl on that big warning track. Looks like he was battling a little bit of wind out there. Makes the catch, 2 outs.
Hey, get ready, fans. Our Colorado Rockies Wives annual charity grab bag event is coming up. The event will take place during the Rockies games on May 31st and June 1st at Coors Field while supplies last.
Eduardo Nunez, a double right down the third base line, a hard ground ball and a fly ball to right. Well, Boston has won 3 straight American League East titles. And along the way, they're winning a lot of games naturally against American League foe and National League foe. Their last 35 ball games against the National League, not including the postseason, they are 28-7.
They've only lost 1 interleague series in the last 14.
And the Rockies were a very good interleague team last year. And they've already played, they're playing the American League East this year, obviously. They've already played Tampa, who lead and have led the American League East basically the whole way this season.
Just in the last 2 years, the Rockies are 5th in baseball in interleague. 14-9.
And I don't know how many people would have the Pirates on top.
I wouldn't have had them up there.
I guarantee you I wouldn't have had them up there.
Houston, sure. Cubs, possibly. Not Pittsburgh.
It's inside. Alex Cora. He was on the 07 Boston Red Sox team that beat the Rockies in the World Series. Kyle again lost an opportunity to have his first 1-2-3 inning. That's the 3rd walk he's issued. And that'll bring up the catcher, Leon. Well, I would say this right now for Kyle's outing thus far. He's got 2 outs in the 6th inning. He's not going to be happy because his club is down, but that has everything to do with Chris Sale. He's not going to be happy with the 3 home runs he gave up, but he has kept his team in this game.
Absolutely. It's just Chris Sale's been better.
Chris Sale, I said this going to break. he is the most dominant. This is the most dominant game I've seen from a pitcher since Clayton Kershaw in 2015 no-hit the Rockies with 15 strikeouts. It was 15 or 16. I think it was 15. Runner going, and Ionetta's throw on the bag, but smidgen late. Eduardo Nunez has his 4th stolen base of the year at 5 attempts.
Now they're just taking a shot that Kyle wasn't going to throw over because he went first movement. Got a good jump on the baseball. 4 or 5 now for Nunez. Not even looking back. This is a straight steal. And now he's in scoring position.
Well, that's where in an American League ballpark, you can do that with 2 outs and your 8th place hitter at the plate. You would never do that in a National League ballpark.
Great point, yeah.
Depending on where you are. If you're, I guess if you're at this juncture where you think the starting pitcher's coming out, you're going to get a pinch hitter the next inning, that's one thing. But, you know, the 3rd, 4th, 5th inning, you don't want to start the next inning with your starting pitcher leading off. It was 14. I said it's 2015, and it was 15 strikeouts. David Dahl on the move. He'll make the catch. We'll go to the 7th. The Rockies trying to figure out Chris Sale. Rockies baseball on 18th Net is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. Well, it's been the Chris Sale story, 3-0 as Kyle Freeland and his catcher Chris Ionetta talk shop on the Rockies bench. Again, Kyle's keeping the Rockies in. He's given up 3 home runs, all solo home runs. But Chris Sale has had an out-of-this-world evening so far.
You see
in
the
6 innings, he struck out 14 of the 18 outs he's recorded.
Yeah, just 1 away from his career high. 90 pitches, 12 for 19 first pitch strikes. Only 5 balls have been put in play tonight.
Here's Story. He struck out twice. Trevor, Nolan, Mark Reynolds. Reynolds, the only hit. A line double down the right field line over the head of J.D. Martinez. And that is sharply hit up the middle and a base hit for Trevor.
Got the ball in play and snuck it through the left side of the infield. Ball up on the Subaru Supermo. One of the rare times tonight that Sale has left a spinner coming up high. Most of the time they've been darting down towards the ankles.
Outside on Nolan. Strike out and a foul out along the 3rd base line. Rockies playing game number 41 tonight. Last year through 40, they were 22-18. This year they're 19-21 through 40 games. So a somewhat similar record. When you look, you break down offense and pitching. They've swung the bats much more effectively this year. They're averaging 5.2 runs a game versus last year at the same juncture just 4.1. The biggest difference, and this is what you figure will turn around. The starting pitching last year fashioned a 4.01 ERA through 40 games. Pretty solid. This year it's 5.55.
Yeah, almost a run and a half higher per ball game.
This ball's well hit to left field. And it is gone. We're talking a 1-run game. Nolan pumps his fist. And the Rockies have a 2-run home run from Arenado, his first ever at Fenway.
That's where it was up to Kyle to keep this ball game where it is, to allow your hitters to get an opportunity. And Nolan delivers, as he's been doing a lot this month. A 452 batting average in the month of May, on top of the Green Monster. Subaru Supermo right into that front row of seats.
And here's the other thing. Now the pitch count moves closer to 100. As the first pitch is in there to Reynolds, there's nobody out in the 7th inning.
And just like that, Boston's had to get 2 guys going in their bullpen.
That's a strike, going 2 on Reynolds. Again, he's no stranger to hitting it over the monster here. He's got a dozen home runs here from his time with the Orioles. And that is strike 3.
Just came inside in the Subaru strike zone to get Mark. Well, now out in the bullpen, you have Brandon Workman and Matt Barnes, 2 right-handers, because that's all they have out in the bullpen for the Red Sox are right-handers.
Raimel Tapia. Strikeout and a line drive to left. 15 strikeouts. 4th time he's done that. Never 16. He did it almost a year ago to the day, May 11th last year against Toronto at Rogers Center. When he throws that slider from his arm angle, crossfire. I don't know how anybody touches it.
Now you don't know what he's going to throw. Is he going to go back to it a 3rd time?
Yep, it's off the plate.
And it's 6'6", Drew. I think so. He's starting on the 3rd base side. Watch how he crossfires right there, and then he hides the baseball so well. A lot of arms and legs coming at you.
He went to it again, and that is a new career high. 16 strikeouts for Sale.
The slidered him to death. 4 straight sliders to Tapia.
I'll bring up Desmond. I'll tell you a story about Chris Sale. He faces a fellow Floridian in Ian Desmond. Out of high school, he was drafted in the 21st round by the Colorado Rockies.
2007.
But he went on to Florida Gulf Coast, and it was a wise decision because he was drafted 3 years later by the White Sox, number 13 overall. You would assume this is it for him. Let's pitch 108. 1-2 on Desmond. 17 strikeouts for Sale, but the Rockies are right there because of this 2-run home run from Nolan Arenado with Trevor Story aboard. Stretch time in Boston. It's a 1-run affair. Game tonight, that's our 2 theme. Take Me Out to the Ball Game was written in 1908. First played evidently at a high school baseball game in 34, and it became a tradition when Harry Carey began singing it, not at Cubs games, folks, back at White Sox, when he was calling White Sox games in 1976. We just heard the rendition a moment ago here at Fenway Park. With Corey Sullivan and Jeff Houston, And our entire crew, I'm Drew Goodman. Brian Shaw takes over, and his first pitch to Andrew Benintendi is down low, ball 1. Benintendi thrilled that Kyle Freeland is now out of the ball game. He struck out 3 times against him. Kyle had 7 punch outs in the game and kept the Rockies in it despite the 3 solo home runs.
That he did. They go 6 innings, 104 pitches. And after that home run by Nolan, you're feeling all right. I think Chris Sale's done.
He's thrown 108 pitches, and you hope he's done. And you listen, no matter what happens tonight, you hope the Rockies come from behind against the bullpen. As a baseball fan, that was extraordinary to watch. I wish it was not at the expense of the Rockies. He struck out 17 guys. And again, as dominant as we've seen in a long, long time, it was Randy Johnson-esque. Here's Mookie Betts 0 for 3.
That's a lot of K's front and back.
So many K's that you're running out of room to place him. Good cutter. 1-1 on Betts, who is a he right in the same vein as Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. He's a professional in 2 sports. You know that, right?
The other one's bowling?
The other one's bowling. He has on 2 occasions been a participant in the PBA World Series of bowling. He has several 300 games to his credit. This is lifted to center field. Dahl is right there.
Who was the other guy? John Burkett was also a bowler, right-handed pitcher. While Doug looks that up, I'll tell you that Coors Field's a great place for group outings. Groups of 20 or more receive discounted pricing, scoreboard recognition, and much more.
And the Rockies within their organization have an accomplished bowler, Robert Apodaca, their former big league pitching coach. He's been on the minor league side for a number of years now. Dak, I believe, has more than one 300 game to his credit. What's your high game bowling?
Oh, maybe 200.
Well, that's good. You bowl at 200?
No, but
that's
no,
great.
like once every 20 times I go to the bowling alley, and you get lucky.
This ball lined to left by Martinez, and it is a foul ball.
It's tough for it to be a foul ball down the corner there.
JD doesn't know. JD was sprinting in, and the third base umpire, David Rackley, indicating the whole time that it was, once it touched, that it was foul. We can't see until we get vision like that. Help from the camera, and it's clearly foul by a few inches. I wish the same call was made on the Chavis home run in the second.
Why can't we have like a protractor like you have in golf on a baseball to tell where it goes? I mean, we have the technology. Why can't we get to that?
You would think, and then even if it extends above the foul pole, some sort of beam of laser beam that can tell us without fail.
All right, Drew, so here it is. John Burkett, 32 300 games.
Are you serious?
Finished as high as 4th in the PBA senior event.
Wow. 1-1 on Martinez. This is old hat for Brian Shaw, being a lifelong American League pitcher until last year. Pitching at Fenway. 2 balls and a strike on Martinez. That's foul. Well, at the top of the broadcast, we talked about The big stars on hand tonight: Mookie Betts, J.D. Martinez, Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story. Well, Martinez a home run, Trevor single, Nolan a 2-run homer. And David Dahl is going to handle all 3 this inning. Good work from Brian Shaw. Now as we go to the top of the 8th, the Rockies look to move ahead of the Red Sox. Their performance of Chris Sale with 17 strikeouts. The only guy who struck out more in the history of the Red Sox, Roger Clemens, twice struck out 20 in a game. He gave up just 3 hits, but the 2-run home run last inning by Nolan has the Rockies right there. Chris Sale's done. He'll give way to Brandon Workman. Brandon Workman has allowed, this is amazing, he's allowed 2 hits in 53 at-bats against him this year.
Yeah.
The league is hitting .038. I don't need to look this up. Of anybody that has a decent amount of innings out of a bullpen this year in baseball, no one has a lower opponent batting average than Brandon Workman.
And you're thinking, oh, he must throw 99 to 102 miles an hour. No, it's 92 with the fastball, cutter 86, and a curveball 80 miles an hour. Make that 81 miles an hour because that was a curveball.
Well, he's due for a market correction. 7, 8, 9 for the Rockies. David Dahl, Chris Iannetta, and Pat Valaika scheduled against Workman. 3-2 Boston.
Ooh.
Fortunately, that was called a ball. 1-1.
That was in the Subaru strike zone.
The next closest in terms of lowest batting average is Roberto Osuna. It's a tardy swing. It's 1-2. Osuna with the Astros. Story a single last inning leading off, and then Nolan hit one over the Monsters. First Boston home run, and this is to deep second, and a good play by Chavis, who is a third baseman coming up. Chris Iannetta struck out twice against Sale. 1 out. On the road is brought to you by Lazy Days RV. This is a lengthy trip. Not only that you're playing 3 clubs, but there are 3 off days on this road trip, so it'll span 11 days. 2 here, and then after an off day Thursday, the Rockies a weekend set against the Phils. Monday's an off day in Pittsburgh, and then 2 night games and a day ball game against the Pirates of Clint Hurdle. Strike 1 on Iannetta. Chris has been swinging the bat well. Tony Walters getting a little more of the work behind the plate. Chris hit a home run a few days ago, a double in the same ball game.
This is where you're hoping too with the Green Monster to left field. He gets a hanger of some sort and bangs it off the wall or over the wall.
Yep.
Like he did down in Tampa Bay early in the season.
One out as Iannetta backs out. This ball crushed deep left field. Get up and get out. Off the very top of the wall. Iannetta into second with a double, just as you ordered. He hit it too hard. Any sort of loft, and we're talking about a tie ball game. That's the first extra base hit allowed by Workman this year. I wish they made the play and not the left fielder Benintendi.
5th double of the year, and I think Bud's going to ask to have this one reviewed.
Yeah, he may, but it pretty clearly there hit the very top of the wall.
Yeah, I think you're right, but they're still going to look at it.
And they should. And this will be a crew chief review. This play under review is brought to you by Dish. Look at it again. You know, that is where this great edifice, the Green Monster, it's a double, giveth and it taketh away. You hit a high fly ball, you can get home runs that you wouldn't get in another ballpark. That ball that Chris hit, where he pulled it, is out of virtually every park in baseball, save Boston, because the Green Monster reels it in. And I mean, what is he, 3 inches?
3 inches, because he hits right on that line, which does not signify that it's a home run. It's just helping if a fan were to reach over for the umpires. That's why they have those lines up there. That one came within a whisper of getting out.
This is Dana Levangie, the pitching coach. He's going out there and saying, what's wrong with you? Are you kidding me? You gave up an extra base hit. You gave up a hit.
But look how close the Rockies are right now. I mean,
they're
after everything that's
tying
happened. Exactly. After the 17 strikeouts by Chris Sale, you've had a home run to get within 1, and now you've got a runner in scoring position.
The Rockies will go to their bench, and they'll play the Ryan McMahon card, which is interesting. It tells me that Daniel Murphy's finger is still a problem, and we know it has been. I mean, Daniel's been toughing it out, because I think he would take this at bat. And it's not to take anything away from Ryan McMahon, who we know is very capable.
Who's also Mr. Late Night at times.
He has been.
The hard part about pinch hitting here at Fenway is there's no place to get loose. The only place you can get loose is up in the clubhouse. And then you run down the stairs, run through this tunnelway to come up and hit. I mean, it's not like all the newfangled ballparks where you can do some running or go into the cage. Not an option here.
I thought for a moment Buddy may pinch run Tony Walters for Chris for 2 reasons. One, he runs much better than Chris, and you need this run to score. And there's no lefties in the bullpen, so you're going to see a right-hander if his number comes up again. 1-1. 1-2 on McMahon. Charlie's on deck. Rockies will have a couple of swipes at getting even with the Red Sox in a game because of Chris Sale's performance. That probably for a while, even when it was 3-0, felt like it was 100-0. And that is strike 3 looking. The 18th time the Rockies have gone down in this game. Blackman 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a ground ball to third. We'll look to drive in Chris Iannetta.
Use another one of those hits that he had on Sunday. One of those homers he had.
Yeah, that would play well here. Charlie riding a 10-game hitting streak. Career .314 stick against the American League with 24 home runs. Again, Iannetta off the very, very top of the Green Monster, a 1-out double.
Well, and if you're the Rockies, you're going to have to try to score Chris, but in left field, Benintendi, because he plays so short, even though it says be careful, it's hard to run on him. JD Martinez, I think you run every single day of the week on him. Mookie Betts charges hard, got a plus arm, plus accuracy in center field.
Yeah, he's tied for the major league lead in assists with 5. This ball in the air to deep center field. Betts running hard way back, and it is gone! 2-run home run! Chuck Nasty to one of the deepest parts of the ballpark. Do you believe the Rockies are in front? 4-3.
Wow.
What a turn of events in this ball game.
From a guy that hadn't given up much this year to now giving up a double and then a home run. I was asking for another one like he hit on Sunday. This one might be further than any of those ones he hit then. That is a tough place on a tough night to hit a ball out.
We're watching it, and I know you're thinking like I am. You just hope it's over the head of Betts, who's a marvelous fielder.
And then I was thinking, well, maybe he might try to catch it over his shoulder, and then he's looking up and it's gone.
He's one of those guys, kind of like Kevin Pillar, that you think, hey, if he's running toward it, there's probably a pretty good chance he's going to make a catch. Wow. Double wow. Think about this again, folks. Chris Sale looked like Sandy Koufax and Randy Johnson rolled into one in his finest hour. He strikes out 17. Nolan clicks him for a 2-run home run. And then this guy, Brandon Workman, struts to the mound, who's given up 3 singles the whole year. It's May the 14th. Iannetta almost hits one out. And then Charlie hits one out to dead center on a frigid night, and Colorado's up 4-3.
Wow. And they've struck out 18 times tonight.
And they've struck out 18 times.
That's why I love baseball.
You never know. 1-1 on Story. Charlie became only the 3rd player in the StatCast era to hit 2 home runs in the same game more than 450 feet on Sunday. Trevor is one of the other 2 guys to do it, and Nelson Cruz.
Oh, and by the way, too, that's an 11-game hit streak for Charlie.
Boy, is he some kind of hot. 4 bombs in his last 3 games. Remember, he tied up the game in the 8th inning on Saturday, 3-3 with a home run. Not just run-of-the-mill homers. Big, impactful home runs. Rockies lead 4-3 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. He took this breaking ball to dead central. And dead central's a long way at Fenway. Well, in an 11-season span, a couple of records were broken between 74 and 85. Henry Aaron, of course, number 715 off for Al Downing. And then Pete Rose moving ahead of Ty Cobb with his 4,192nd hit. He went on to have 4,256 knocks. Henry Aaron, 755 big flies. Right now, the Rockies, because of that man, lead 4-3 in Beantown. And the Rockies, in the bottom of the 8th, will turn the baseball over to Scott Oberg. Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Michael Chavis, 4, 5, and 6 for Boston. And the Massachusetts native with strike 1. Scott Oberg's got his folks here, a lot of family.
Yeah, he
grew up about a half hour out of town.
Yeah, went to visit his high school. They were playing in a ball game yesterday. Went over there to watch them.
Slider slow, 1-1. Of course, collegiately, he went down to Storrs, Connecticut, where when Kyle Houston was an outstanding hockey player.
It's about an hour and 47-minute drive, in case you're wondering, from Boston Logan down there.
You've done that quite a few times. You got that down to a science.
Yep.
Back in 2016, I made that journey. Had a meeting down in Bristol, so I was right next to Stores.
This is just a little bit further down the road.
Two and two on Bogarts.
I think there's a lot of people in this stands who are just stunned right now.
Stunned.
I mean, it went from loud cheering, clapping to what just happened.
We said it. You know, Kyle gave up the 3 home runs in the first 3 innings, and then he didn't give up another hit in the next 3. Down the line to Nolan, kicks it for a second, does not have a play. Wow. You're talking about the best third baseman in baseball, and Nolan just made his second error of the night, and that was a routine ground ball.
Yeah, that was. The first one was on the throw. This one just pops out of the glove, and then he couldn't grab it again, and then didn't get a handle on it. I think if he gets a handle on it, right there on the Subaru Supermo, but then he didn't get it, so he ate it. He said, nope, I'm not going to risk a throw.
Devers at the plate. First pitch misses, down low, ball 1.
And the Rockies came into the game first in the National League. They climbed all the way up to first in fielding percentage at .989, third in all of baseball. And again, this wacky game of baseball, the last guy you would have thought would have had 2 errors tonight would be Nolan.
Yeah, go figure, right? That's a strike, 1-1. It's just the 7th time in his remarkable, still young career that he's had a 2-error game. He had one last September. It's a reminder to all the young baseball players out there, shake it off, because it happens to even the very best.
Well, and this is where you need help from Scott on the hill. You get the strikeout, or hopefully you get a ground ball right at somebody. You turn the double play, and no harm, no foul.
Devers 1 for 3. The one was an opposite field home run. 1-2. Again, working away at 95. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ryan McMahon at second base. Pinch hit for Valleca, that missed. I'm telling you, Devers reminds me of the guy I mentioned earlier.
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto with Washington.
And they're pretty active in the box too. Well, they
just have great strike zone discipline. And this is chopped to Nolan. He's got 1 play, maybe. I thought maybe he was going to have to go across the diamond there. Fortunately, Nolan, who has a great clock in his head, able to cut down Bogarts, and that's huge.
Well, it's huge because 2 things. You get the lead runner, and you don't see the 6-5 very often, or excuse me, 5-6 very often, and is clearly out at second base. But 2, after you've made a couple errors, you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure I make this play, and I'm going to take this safe out.
I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are.
I've made 3 errors in 1 game in the big leagues, and I didn't want another ball hit to me.
Yeah, right? I mean, and you were a tremendous fielder.
Yeah.
You were a defensive replacement when you weren't starting.
Exactly.
And it
rattles your cage.
It's got to, right?
It rattles your cage, no doubt about it. And to his credit, that didn't rattle Nolan. High chopper, he said, I'm going to get that lead runner.
He's as mentally tough as they come. Chavis with a 1-0 and a big swing and a miss on a slider. It's 1-1. Mitch Moreland leads them in home runs. Not in the starting lineup against Freeland, is on deck. Pinch hit for Steve Pearce. Tell you what, this has turned into one heck of a game.
Yes, it has.
4-3 Colorado. On a night, if you're just joining us, Chris Dale struck out 17
and
in 7 innings.
And all 7 runs have come via the home run.
That's right. Solo home runs from Chavis in the 2nd for Boston. Martinez and Devers in the 3rd. And the Rockies, a 2-run shot from Nolan, 2-run shot from Blackman. 2-2, line drive left field, base hit. And that'll bring up Mitch Moreland to pinch hit for Pierce.
He comes to the plate. It gives me a chance to tell you the 50-50 raffle is now available online during select away games as a progressive raffle. Now through May 24th, fans may purchase tickets at Rockies5050.com for the chance to win a mega jackpot.
Talk scouting report on Moreland. Been a feast or famine year for Moreland. Not much in terms of batting average, but his productivity has been very high. He's got a dozen home runs, and he's driven in 29. So he leads the club in those 2 power departments, despite the 231 average.
He's never seen nor faced Scott Oberg. There's only 2 players that have. Of course, J.D. Martinez, we saw a couple years ago down in Arizona, and then Eduardo Nunez.
He's also one of the clubhouse leaders for Boston, Mitch Moreland. Former Ranger. Get him to hit it on the ground. He's a prime candidate for a double play. Falling behind 2-0. One out.
Thank you.
Took something off. Moreland sitting dead red, 2-1.
We got a slider from Scott.
Midday baseball with ski mask. You're right. Two and two. Devers at second, Chavis at first, 2-2. And it kicks away. And
it's just fortunate that it kicked towards third base.
I'll tell you, Devers, as he should, started charging to third until he realized where the baseball was.
Yeah, he would have been out by a mile.
Now you got to make a pitch, 3-2. Broken bat, base hit. That'll tie up the game. Devers scores. Chavis goes first to third. And that error proves really costly. 4-4 ball game.
Well, then the broken bat right off the label, but Moreland strong enough to dump it into right center field. Not only scoring Devers, Chavis is motors into third.
Eduardo Nunez, 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. The Rockies come in on the corners. Obviously, the first baseman Reynolds holding the runner on, and they'll play for 2 up the middle. Nunez runs well.
There's a lot of area too behind home plate at this older stadium. And you got to be careful with that. Some of the new ones will ricochet real quick if there was a wild pitch.
Line drive, caught, double play. Moreland got caught off of first. And then the Rockies get out of it without any further damage, but it's 4-4 now going to the ninth. The base hit by Moreland off the bench. Lines, low fares, no hidden fees, that's transparency. And by Golden Oak Lending, now you can get your mortgage online fast at Golden Oak Lending. Back in Boston on a frigid, and we're not exaggerating, mid-May night, the Rockies 4, the Red Sox 4. An unearned run has evened this game up after the Blackman 2-run home run. And a reminder, our Toyota post-game show immediately following, as always, and our crack crew is on site here in Boston for the next couple of nights. Matt Barnes has been closing games for Boston. He'll take over in the ninth. It'll be Nolan, Mark Reynolds, Raimel Tapia.
15 in the third innings for Matt Barnes. A lot of strikeouts. You see it, 28 out of the 60 batters he's faced, almost 47%. That's the highest rate among all relievers in the American League. And Mitch Moreland remains in the ball game playing first base.
So Nolan, a 2-run home run in the 7th against Sale when the Rockies were down 3-0, and that's all they could do to get the ball in play.
Our StatCast AI powered by AWS, it would be Nolan's home run back in the 7th inning, 354 feet. Seemed like it was harder off the bat than just 96.3, but it doesn't matter. Went over the wall, bring the Rockies within 1.
And that was a Fenway Park home run.
Yes.
And the double that preceded the home run by Charlie was the Green Monster taking a home run away from
But then Charlie says, I'm not going to worry about what park I'm playing at because that's a homer anywhere.
Yep. You know, Nolan, who chases perfection in everything he does baseball-wise, is hopping mad underneath that helmet.
Just knowing how he's wired, absolutely.
Two-one, and a broken bat. Skimmer to third, 1 out. Reynolds is 1 for 3. He had the first hit of the night for the Rockies. He came leading off the 5th with a double against Sale. Who Wants Tacos fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies score 7 or more in a ball game. Mark Reynolds, you can tell by the approach there. Mark Reynolds is looking for something inner half that he can pull.
One thing and one thing only. It's getting cold. I want to hit one out. We're going to shake hands in 3 outs. That's what he was thinking.
Yep. One strike on Mark, and that's up and in. 1-1.
Matt Barnes was teammates at UConn with Scott Ober.
Along with the American League home run leader, George Springer. He got a pitch to his liking. It was up and it was in.
He was swinging like he wanted, not where Barnes wanted the pitch. He wanted it down and away, tried to stay away from the power of Mark.
He just beat him to the spot. Borland's going to give it a look. He won't have a play.
Flirting with some danger, keep coming up in on Mark. They missed that spot.
4 home runs for Reynolds. Two outs. Rockies have Wade Davis and Carlos Estevez. Obviously Davis, if the Rockies can score here. Otherwise Estevez or perhaps Scott Ober still. You see, we'll see.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having the DH.
Daniel Murphy is in the on-deck circle to hit for Desmond if Tapia can reach. See if Rymel can run into one. See that's the swing. We always say early in a count, just get rid of that one, and then he settles in and he's more under control. The results have been beautiful. This is a pretty good slider.
Yeah, it's a good slider, but the head falls out and away on that swing because you overswing.
1-1. One and two. Dave Magadan was the hitting coach in 2007 with the Red Sox when they beat the Rockies in the World Series.
Shook to a curveball, it looked like.
So we'll go to the bottom of the ninth, 4-4. Rockies were born, Barwell, and we know what happened in year one, and it's really continued on. 80,000 at the first game. The Rockies have the all-time attendance record for game, for season. Last year they drew more than 3 million. Bottom of the ninth inning, 4-4. Sandy Leon's going to lead off. Carlos Estevez on the hill, and we're bundled up here. And you know what? I love my partner, and he always takes care of me. But tonight, I just asked him during the commercial break. I said, you know, how are your hands? He said they're warm because he has gloves on. And then he pulls out. He goes, an extra set of gloves. What about me?
Here you go. Sorry.
Thank you.
Ninth inning.
Never better late than never, right?
I just forgot.
Yeah.
You should have been prepared.
You're right. Jackie Bradley Jr. is pinch hitting for Leon. Jackie Bradley, who's better known for his defense in center field, is average below 150 this year. Hard throwing Carlos Estevez, and that wicked slider's just low.
Carlos has been that jack of all trades coming out of the bullpen for Bud. He's been in high leverage situations.
Well, his last 8, Huey, he's allowed just 1 run over 6 2/3. 10 strikeouts over those 6 2/3. And that's outside. 2-2. So Carlos Estevez tasked with getting this game to extra innings. The Rockies are even with the Red Sox, 4 apiece, despite having struck out 21 times. That was close. 21 of the 27 outs have been via strikeout.
And then mixing the other 5 hits, it's not a whole lot of action, but 2 homers.
Look out. Wow.
That's
rocket
where
right above the Rockies dugout.
Yeah, but that's where that netting comes into play, and it's so good to have that safety net for the fans sitting right above the dugout.
Another 3-2. Ball 4.
That's a strike 3 on the Subaru strike zone.
2 borderline pitches did not go the way of Estevez. And now Jackie Bradley Jr., who can run, is at first base.
I mean, he caught the plate, belt high. I just don't, I mean, when you're looking right over the shoulder of the catcher, I just don't see how you miss those calls. And neither can Bud.
Benintendi, Rockies defending the bunt. And you get a swing. 0-1. Benintendi, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts tonight. We got all the high-paid guys coming up. Behind Benintendi, Betts, and then JD Martinez.
Jackie Bradley Jr. at first, 3 for 3, stealing bases.
Job by Iannetta.
We saw a little bit of a conservative lead too at first base by Jackie Bradley. Just a 12-foot lead. If you're going to try to steal a base, you need to get out to that first cut, maybe 13 feet. He's looking to. That one was a foot further though, because he had to dive back. The first 2 times they threw over, it was just stand up as he went back to the bag.
Out of play, 1-2. You know, it's interesting. He had all his weight, not on the previous lead when he dove back, all of his weight on his right side, which told me he was looking to go back. Well, I was looking to go back because you're going to load up on your left side
if you're going to second.
If you're taking off.
Exactly.
He was loaded up on his right side. Now, his last lead, he was kind of evenly distributed weight-wise, and he is again right now. This is often a running count, 1-2. Not going. And another pitch that just missed. That's off the plate, though. 2-2. Swung on and missed. Out number 1 in the bottom of the 9th.
What a pitch from Carlos.
Golden sombrero for Benintendi.
97 cheese down at the knees.
Mookie Betts quiet tonight. Carlos will try to keep him quiet. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts, and a couple of fly balls. Freeland struck him out twice.
That little step off move just puts it in the back of the mind of the base runner. He's thrown over a few times. He got the step off, trying to disrupt his timing.
In the air to right center field. Dahl and Blackman. It'll be Charlie making the catch, and that's the second out. Now the dangerous J.D. Martinez. I'll tell you what, in all of baseball, which is littered with ridiculously talented guys, he is one of the last guys you want to see come up in any sort of situation like this.
Well, he's made his money doing things early in the game and also late. There's some guys that only do it early, and then when it's crunch time, they can't do it. JD is a guy that you hold your breath when he comes to the plate. Yeah. A lot like Nolan, a lot like Charlie, those type of guys.
Well, earlier tonight, he hit a long home run over the monster to left center. He had 2 home runs on Sunday.
4 home runs in his last 6 games. He had a drought prior to this 6 games where he went 15 straight without a home run.
Well, he has not been a Red Sox for very long, but already his slugging percentage at Fenway Park of .639 is 4th. To Hall of Famer, the late Frank Robinson, Hall of Famer Ted Williams, Hall of Famer Jimmy Fox, and then you have Lou Gehrig on there also. And they're going to get a pop-up right side. McMahon.
No,
got to catch the ball.
My
wow.
Oh, wow. Oh,
what happened there?
I have no idea, but he caught it.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
Bradley had crossed home plate. I got it. He must have hurt Blackman. No, catch the baseball. Wow. We'll go to the 10th. Breathe again. Daniel Murphy in a 4-4 game in the top of the 10th is going to pinch hit for Ian Desmond. Matt Barnes remains on the mound for Boston. Last time we saw Murphy, he had produced a 3-run double off the bench. He takes strike one. It's Murphy, Dahl, and Iannetta.
That was a base hit right down the first baseline the other day.
3 Red Sox on the right side of the infield. Good swing there on a center cut heater. 2 strikes on Murphy. Playing still with that brace on the broken finger. One, two. Christian Vasquez will get the out at first. Vasquez in the game for Leon behind the plate. David Dahl tonight, a ground out, a strikeout, and a ground out. Both the times he hit it on the ground, it was to the second baseman, Chavis. Looks like it's misting out again.
Yes, it is.
The swing, according to home plate umpire. David's
I
right. Check it out.
Agree.
Dan Bellino just made the call.
Here's a rule I would make if I was commissioner. I would say a home plate umpire could never do a check swing. He would always have to ask for help from the guys either at first or third base. So you see where the ball's going. How can you tell where the ball is, where that swing is, as an umpire behind a catcher? It's just a rule I'd change. You can never make that call. And then that causes you to do that.
This is unbelievable. The Rockies in the 10th inning are in a 4-4 game. They have struck out 23 times, which is a club record, I believe. In at least up to 10 innings has to be. 21 in 9 innings. Chris Iannetta, remember his double in the 8th inning set the stage for Blackman's 2-run home run that put the Rockies up temporarily 4-3. And then an unearned run for Boston in the bottom of the 8th. Leadoff hitter hit a routine ground ball to third, and maybe the greatest defensive third baseman ever just didn't field it cleanly.
Happens, even to the best of them.
Extra innings this year, the Rockies 2-1, Boston 2-0. Boston had come in winners of 5 straight. Rockies off a 4-4 homestand. That caught the bottom of the zone, but it's called ball 2, 2-1. The Rockies' record for strikeouts in a game, had this been a 9-inning game, as I said, 21 would have been the record. Overall, 24 is the record, but that was in an 18-inning game
that was earlier,
a few weeks ago.
Earlier this year.
That was against the Giants on April the 12th. Rockies have Mike Dunn and Wade Davis.
Wade's just waiting around. He's waiting for maybe Chris to hit one out this time instead of hitting it at the top of the wall.
Two and two. Payoff. Called strike 3. And now Chris Iannetta arguing with Dan Bellino. But he doesn't want to get run, so he takes just a few steps because you can't argue balls and strikes. 5 straight strikeouts. The night began with 6 straight strikeouts. 4-4. Bottom of the 10th inning. From the Hamptons to the Hall of Fame, Carl Yastrzemski. Xander Bogaerts as Carlos Estevez. Works his second inning, and that's strike 1.
I think that's smart, too, to leave Carlos in. Just threw 16 pitches the first inning.
Well, he's become really reliable. 0-2. Bogaerts, Devers, Chavis. For 2 walks. Bogaerts reached on that error by Nolan in the 8th. And he punches this to center for a leadoff single.
Punches is apropos, Drew, because he just tried to reach out, didn't overswing. Placed it right in front of David Dahl.
Well, you have Devers, Chavis. After that is Moreland. So Buddy's going to bring in Mike Dunn, his lone left-hander. Wellington right now.
I'd be dressed a little warmer if it was.
Blankets and all that you have in your winter closet. It's been in the low 40s the whole night. Rafael Devers against Mike Dunn. No swing. Winning run at first and Xander Bogaerts.
18, now make that 19 ball games for Mike. Left-handers hitting 167 off of Mike this year.
One of the reasons, one of the many reasons Boston won 108 games last year and is looked upon as a team that could very well win it again. Their plate discipline. They have a very high walk rate. They do again this year. They swing at strikes. Last year, they led baseball in virtually every offensive category. On-base percentage, slugging, OPS.
Talking to Alex Cora today, you know, he referenced that. That's why they weren't good early in the season. They weren't doing the things they were doing last year. As you said, you know, they were expanding the strike zone.
Devers almost gave himself a concussion with that
slap
to the helmet.
Every time. You notice it? Every time he'll walk out, take a deep breath. Give me a headache.
Be easier on yourself, right?
Yeah.
1-2. Got the strikeout. One gone.
Everything had been away to Devers, and then they come inside with a hip side slider.
I don't know if, Huey, if you characterize this as an American League type of philosophy or just, you know, Rafael Devers is the leading hitter in the American League, and so you don't bunt with that guy, whoever that guy happens to be. In this case, it's Devers, but he punches out. Now 1 out. Chavis at the plate.
Might just be a style, too, for Alex, because I see why he didn't do it in the 9th inning after the leadoff walk. It'd been a Tindy bunts, then you would walk Betts. So you're playing with some fire there. So he said, well, I'm going to let my guys go ahead and do it.
Yep. Listen, you can't argue. They've been elite. This is the key. This is the key at bat right now, because Moreland's on deck, who's obviously a dangerous guy, but he hits from the left side. And now you have Chavis, who's taken the American League by storm in his first month in the big leagues. Hit a home run back in the 2nd, his 7th, and he just came to the big leagues on April the 20th. Here's the 1-0. And the breaking ball's down, 2-0. Chad Bettis is tossing the baseball now in the Rockies' pen. Nolan's on the line at 3rd defensively. And this should be 2. Hey, let's go to the 11th.
Let's go.
Excellent job by Mike Dunn. Interesting game tonight. 3 solo home runs. Kyle Freeland matching up with Chris Sale. JD Martinez. This was Devers going opposite field. Chavis had the first one. The Rockies being shut out 3-0 by Sale, then a 2-run home run by Nolan, and then the Rockies took the lead on a 2-run home run by Blackman over the center field wall. And then a broken bat single by Mitch Moreland tied it at 4 in the bottom of the 8th, and that's where we stand now as we go to the top of the 11th. And there's a new pitcher out there for Boston after 2 innings from Matt Barnes. It is Ryan Brazier. Ryan McMahon takes the heavy fastball up and in. Brazier averages 96 with his fastball. He has a slider and a splitter.
No runs allowed in 14 of the 18 innings he's pitched this year for Boston.
That's a strike. This is where hitters will tell you it is just brutal, especially in interleague play, against teams like Tampa or Boston that have really strong bullpens, and you're not familiar with them at all.
No,
you don't see them.
No, and you're trying to figure it out off an iPad in the dugout, what a guy throws.
1-1 on McMahon.
And the hard one, too, to pick up is any sort of wrinkle on the pitch.
That's why in the next 5 years, they already have it a little bit. You're going to see the implementation of virtual reality in the batting cages underneath the stadiums, where when you're getting ready, you're not only swinging the bat, but you're swinging the bat against the guy you may face.
Which is fine in a lot of the new ballparks. You can't get that here.
No.
Or Wrigley. Those are the places, the older ones.
Well, Wrigley used to, because they've redone it.
Oh, that's right, they have.
Don't have to go out to right field anymore. Ball 4 on 5 pitches. McMahon walks against Brazier.
Let's go back to the hero in the 8th inning. It's StatCast AI. The curveball that Charlie took out to center field 417 feet on a very cold, wet, humid night. And still hit it over 106 miles an hour off the bat.
Ninth home run for Charlie. Tied with Trevor for second on the club, behind the 10 from Nolan. Actually, the 11 from Nolan, the home run tonight.
You know who's going to be the hero in this game, don't you? I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, Nolan.
The make good.
The make good hero.
Well, listen,
because
the Rockies wouldn't be, I know he's made 2 errors, but they wouldn't be in the 11th inning if not for his 2-run home run against Sale.
No doubt.
Who struck out 17 Rockies.
So how about this, Drew? The last time a pitcher that struck out 17 or more and did not get the win, you have to go back to 2001. Randy Johnson had 20 strikeouts and got a no decision.
That's unbelievable. I thought you were going to tell me it was like 1886.
No, but it was RJ.
Good swing by Charlie. He was on that 1-1. Another quality swing. The Rockies have 5 hits in the ball game. The Red Sox have 8. Rockies are flirting with the major league record for strikeouts in a game. It's 26. It's been done 4 times. The last time was 2 years ago. Milwaukee in 12 innings struck out 26 times. Mid to high 90s fastball.
Keep trying to get that fastball past Charlie. I'm Ron Gideon too at first base. I just reminded Ryan McMahon to anticipate a ball down in the dirt after that many times. He's got a split finger.
Which is very often a dirt ball pitch.
That's right, and it's hard to control for a catcher. Because he's covering the fastball.
That's when you know you're locked in pretty good, because you have to sit fastball, but Huey, take us through. I mean, you know in the back of your mind that's his strikeout pitch.
That's what he wants to get me with, so I've got to make sure I'm on time for the fastball and somehow see the rotation and wait back for the split finger.
Why hitting's hard. Student average is 96. Then you got to worry about the secondary stuff. 1-2. And Charlie gets under it just a little bit. The Boston fans breathe a sigh of relief with 1 out. That'll bring up Trevor Story. Trevor, a base hit in the 7th in front of the Arenado home run, 1 for 4. Everybody in the Rockies lineup has struck out tonight. In fact, it's easier to count the guys who've only struck out once, because there's only one of those guys. It's Nolan. Everybody else has multiple strikeouts tonight.
That was an awkward dive back to first for Mac.
One out. McMahon, who walked, is at first. One strike on Story. Top of the 11th. And that's a called strike. At 97. Go ahead and hit the Sitco sign, the iconic Sitco sign out there in left field.
That's a sign you always see whenever you would see Red Sox games on the game of the week on Saturdays.
Many years ago, they were going to tear it down, and the community said, no, we can't tear it down. It's a landmark.
And that sign's on the other side of the highway.
One and two on Trevor. Story was such a not only highly recruited kid, but such a well thought of prospect in high school down in Arlington. At his practices, not just the games, there were as many as 28 scouts when they were just having a practice.
Talking about practice, man.
Talking about practice. So guess what? Everybody minded their P's and Q's in those practices. And Trevor, so consistent with his personality, handled it beautifully. He is even keel, man. Big fire, though, burns underneath that hood. 2 and 2. Oh, and he's got a little bit of talent. On the ground sharply and out at second base. Good play by Bogarts.
Well, and a great play, too, by
Chavis.
Because just to snag this, to keep it from going to left field, because it was hit sharply. Bogarts had to pop out of his glove, and then the throw to second and the pick. I didn't realize it from the angle we're looking at this, that ball snuck out of the glove. That's how hard it was hit.
Nolan at the plate. You never want to take the bat out of his hands, but with 2 outs and Story at first, see if he looks for a place to run, or do you just completely shut it down?
I wouldn't here. I'd let Nolan get his opportunity. This home run back in the 7th. Woke the bats up and finally got to Chris Sale to make this a 3-2 game into the front row for the seats in the Green Monster.
9 of his 11 home runs out on the road. Here's the 1-0. Way outside. 2-0. One more note on Sale. Can't promise you it's the last one, but in his last 2 games, 31 strikeouts, no walks. He's the second pitcher in the modern history of the game to have 30 strikeouts and no walks over 2 games. The other one, a very young Dwight Gooden in 1984. He didn't go. 3-0. And you know Brazier's not going to throw a cookie up here.
Because Nolan's going to be swinging. He'll be hacking at this if he finds it in his zone.
Ball 4. And now the go-ahead run goes to second base in the sprinter Trevor Story, and Mark Reynolds will have an opportunity to give the Rockies an 11th inning lead. And Dana Levangie will come running out of the dugout.
This is a scouting report. This is what it is, because I'm sure when Ryan left the bullpen, he didn't think that he had to worry about the 5th hitter of this inning. He had the first 3 or 4 down.
I was hoping he didn't have to worry about the 5th hitter, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why they have to have this meeting again.
Reynolds, first base runner of the game for the Rockies, a leadoff double to right in the 5th. It's the only base runner till Trevor had a leadoff single in the 7th in front of the 2-run home run by Nolan against Sale. The other 3 plate appearances tonight for Reynolds all ended in strikeouts. '97, strike 1. Rockies hitting .361 in May coming into the ball game with runners in scoring position.
138-point increase over March and April.
Tell you how odd this game has been. Talked about all the strikeouts. The Rockies have left 1 man on base through the first 10 innings.
It's just the 3rd time tonight they've had somebody at second.
Two strikes. Base hit center field. Trevor will come around and score. Rockies lead at 5-4. Mark Reynolds on an 0-2 pitch. 5-4 Colorado in the 11th.
'15th RBI for Mark. They kept trying to go upstairs. Well, he finally was able to catch up to this one on the Subaru Supermo. And then you're just saying, get down, ball, get down, because Trevor's going to score. It was a couple weeks ago, you and I were talking to Daniel Murphy. Remember what he said to us? How resilient this ball club was and is.
And he was emphatic about how impressed he was. Now Raimel Tapia.
Let's go ahead and get some insurance runs.
Nolan at second, Reynolds at first. Kicks one off that green monster in left center. We've seen him hit the ball in that direction a ton. This is a broken bat, 1 hopper, and Bogarts will get it to Moreland in time. But Colorado has taken a 5-4 lead. Mark Reynolds got on top of a high 90s fastball behind 0-2. Trevor Story comes around. Now the Rockies need 3 outs for an improbable win. Mark Reynolds, base hit, has given the Rockies a 5-4 lead. It'll be up to Wade Davis. And in the bottom of the 11th, he'll get the bottom 3 in the lineup for Boston. Mitch Moreland, who came on a few innings ago, Eduardo Nunez, and then the catcher Christian Vasquez will have his first at bat.
Wade looking for his 7th save on the season. Just to put the memory of what happened on Saturday out of his mind. Game against San Diego.
He's no stranger to Fenway Park, obviously, having pitched in this division when he was with Tampa. And this is a man who's had a ton of success in his big league career. So here we go, Mitch Moreland, second at bat. He had a single to drive in a run his first time, and that is strike one from Wade, which is key.
It's a good sign.
Because Wade, in these first 6-7 weeks of the season, it's kind of been a 50-50 proposition getting strike one. Ground ball into the shift, and a good job by McMahon coming to get that.
Well,
and Huey, take me through this, because that you're charging a ball. It's not on dirt. You know, it's coming from dirt to grass,
and it could snake on you. And it could snake on you with the grass the way it's cut. So Ryan decides to take a lot of the baseball chance out of there and gets the baseball, because you're playing that rover position. Now, right now, you're hoping it doesn't hit the lip as you go to it. The other thing you don't want is that ball getting any more moisture on it from the grass.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point. Nunez fouls off the first delivery. Good looking pitch, 0-2. Here's the 0-2. That cruised across at 94, trying to shave a corner. It's 1-2.
Also trying to stay away from any pull power for Nunez, especially at this ballpark. You always hear it in the later innings. Somebody's going to try to beat you, make him go the other way, but it's even more imperative here in Fenway Park.
2-2. Nunez 1 for 3 and a walk. Double back in the second inning. He's got him, 2 outs.
Fastballs and then a slider.
Christian Vasquez, who's got pop, 5 home runs this year, but he's a much better hitter against lefties than righties. Righties this year, he's hit just .222. .382 against lefties. Breaking ball for a strike. And Davis, first pitch strikes to all 3 hitters here in the 11th.
6 of 8 overall.
Oh, 1 to Vasquez. Now 2 strikes.
Finish him right here.
This game, 3 hours and 41 minutes in length, and it has had a little of everything and a lot of strikeouts. But the Rockies 1 strike away from shaking hands. Here's the 0-2. Line drive, base hit on the 0-2 pitch, and now Vasquez at first, and that'll bring up Andrew Benintendi, who, speaking of strikeouts, has fanned 4 times tonight.
Too good of a pitch, 0-2. Right over the heart of the plate, maybe away just enough, but still up too much.
Vasquez at first and Benintendi 0 for 5 overall. The only time he got it in play, he hit a fly ball to Dahl in center. Ball 1.
With Wade being over the National League the last few years, these two have never faced each other.
Two and 0. Boston fans take some consolation right now that their Bruins won tonight. They're 3 up now on the Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2-0. 2-1.
That's the ability Wade has. He doesn't have to give him a fastball. He's got confidence in his other pitches, his curveballs, his sliders, when he's behind in the count.
In the air, playable for Tapia. Just got to squeeze it. What a win for the Rockies in 11 innings. On a night they struck out 24 times, they have defeated the Red Sox at Fenway. Unbelievable.
What a victory tonight.
Some are more memorable than others. This one will always stand out, no matter what transpires the rest of the way in 2019. Mark Reynolds, a huge 2-strike hit to drive in Trevor Story. Chris Sale struck out 17. The Rockies set a major league record. 6 different players struck out at least 3 times. That had never happened before.
Saw a lot of firsts tonight.
And yet the Rockies are the giddy ones, looking to get some warmth after the high fives. Charlie Blackmon, a monstrous 2-run home run, and the Rockies bullpen gets it done. 5-4 Colorado at 11. Mark Reynolds the big swing, and Wade Davis nailed it down. What a Toyota postgame show we have coming up for you next. 5-4 Colorado.